Mushroom is my wife, and we have been married for 5 years. We've known each other for 6 years. And I think that's right. Yeah, pretty sure that's right. After a few years, you start to forget the exact number. I should really keep track of that. And so I was living in China at the time. I had been living by myself in my little apartment in China, teaching English. Okay? And I had a couple friends, hang out with my friends sometimes, but generally speaking, the life of the average bachelor, you could say. I didn't date that much, but once in a while. And I was hanging out with my friend one time named Kevin. He was another American living in China. This is in Tianjin, China. And he had met someone who invited him to a Christmas party thing. Okay? He invited me. It was either that or it was the other way, and I got invited to the Christmas party and I invited him. One way or the other, this Christmas party is very important to the future of both of our lives. Okay? So we went to this party, and there was this girl there who was talking to my friend Kevin. And they were just talking, and she seemed interested in him, and he seemed a little bit interested in her. And so that was happening, and I noticed it, but I was just sort of at the party, hanging out, having a glass of whatever. And then after a few minutes, he said, hey, there's a feature on WeChat where you can shake your phone. He said, I did the shake your phone thing, and there are some other girls over there. I want to go meet them. It's a volleyball team. They're all really tall. So I said, oh, all right, whatever. So we went over to these girls, and there were 6 or 7 girls that were this tall. And I remember very clearly because I was looking up at all of them. Oh, hello, nice to meet you. Hi. All volleyball players, okay? And we talked to them for a while as well. And I didn't think anything of it. We went home. I went home, not we. I mean, Kevin went to his house. I went to my house. We didn't go home with the volleyball players. They carried us home. No, it wasn't like that. So anyway, after a few days, it was around Christmas time, so it would have been after Christmas, I guess, maybe the 27th or the 28th. One of the girls, not the volleyball girls, one of the girls that Kevin had met, the one who had been kind of interested in him, she invited Kevin to have a drink at a lounge. A lounge is like a fancy bar, but it's quieter than a bar, right? And he said, I want to meet her, but I'm not sure how I feel about her at this moment. And I don't want to do a situation where we're meeting alone. It's a high pressure date situation. So he said, can you come with me? And this is called being a wingman. Being a wingman is sort of the man on the side. And I said, yeah, of course, buddy, Kevin, of course, no problem. I would be happy to go with you. And so I went with Kevin, and we had some nachos. We arrived first, and we had some drinks, and we met these two girls, not one, because this girl who Kevin was meeting brought her friend. Okay? And she sat across from me. And I thought, this girl looks very familiar to me. In fact, she was familiar because I had seen her once before. I had seen her for about 5 seconds. She had been walking out of some place, and I was walking in with her colleague. And they stopped for a minute to have a chat because I used to teach yoga. And I taught a yoga class with her old colleague. Oh, that's right. She's the lady who invited me to the Christmas party, her colleague. I was her colleague's yoga teacher, okay? And after one of our yoga classes, we used to do yoga on the rooftop illegally. And we decided to have, I think we had dinner. We were buddies. We were friends. She was also one of my English students. And very much a brother-sister sort of relationship. And we had stopped at the door because they said hi to each other very quickly. And I said, well, that girl has a weird shirt. And then I didn't think anything of it. Now that girl was sitting across from me. It was the friend of Kevin's date? but he didn't want to call it a date because he wasn't sure exactly how he felt about this girl. And so it was just a conversation. It was a relaxed conversation. And this girl and I ended up just making faces at each other. And she couldn't really speak English. That's why we were just making faces at each other. I could tell that she didn't really care about being there. I didn't really care about being there. And so we ended up just sort of making faces at each other for a while and using a sort of mixed basic Chinese, basic English, because my Chinese was about at her English level. And so after that, we just started texting back and forth. And she, her name was Mushroom, and she and I started having conversations online, started chatting, started doing regular long conversations. I found out later she was getting translation help from her friend because our conversations were in English. So after talking more and more and more, finally the new year came and we eventually decided that we would get a little bit more serious, and we decided to start dating. I thought, this lady is pretty cool. She likes the things I like. She doesn't seem to be interested in me because of the fact that I'm a foreigner. Or she doesn't seem to care about that sort of thing, because some girls will, date foreign teachers just because they want to practice their English, right? She didn't seem to care about that stuff. So we started dating, and we decided a good test would be to go somewhere together to see if this is a real relationship or what. So we decided to go to Thailand. We went to Thailand together after dating about a month and a half, or maybe 2 months. We flew to Thailand and we spent 5 or 6 days together. And we realized that we have a good relationship. This is a good relationship. We don't fight. We have common interests, And so after a year of dating, I wanted to leave Tianjin and go to another city. So we decided to do that. But before we did that, we were going to travel, seriously travel. And so I thought this is a perfect chance to see if we're really a good couple, like serious couple, marriage sort of level. I wasn't thinking about that yet, but I wanted to know. Traveling together is a great way to decide that. So we traveled to Malaysia, we traveled to South Africa, Singapore, we traveled to Nepal, and it was several months we spent together. We volunteered, took care of monkeys who had lost their mothers in South Africa. It was a great experience. And we got to know we really got to know each other, because what you have to find out if you're going to date someone, you have to find out if you like each other because you have that cycle of I miss you, oh, I see you, and I miss you, and I see you. Or if you like to be around each other, if you like to be in the company of the other person, even when it's boring and there's nothing to do. Do you like to be around this person? That's a very important question. Spending time with this person, Mushroom, over this long period of time, I realized my answer to that was yes. And so by the time we reached Nepal, we thought, we've been dating for almost a year now. We really like to be around each other. Maybe it would be simpler if we got married. So we did. And it was a long process, but that's how it happened. That's how we met, and that's how we got married. That's the story. I think it's an interesting story, but maybe it's only interesting because it's my story. I don't know. But the thing that's crazy is we almost didn't meet, because that night was a very snowy night and there weren't many taxis on the street. And Kevin and I were on our way to that lounge and waiting for a taxi to get there. And we were about to say, all right, you know what? Forget it. No taxis. The weather's terrible. Let's just go play video games. We were this close to doing that. If we had done that, I never would have met Mushroom. They were about to do the exact same thing, and they got a taxi too, right at the last second. So it turned out okay. So who knows where I would be and what I would be doing if we hadn't met. But that is how it went. And now her English is really good. We speak more English than Chinese. And we have moved to America. She works in an American company, and so it's been a great experience. And now we have 2 cats, and we still like each other, which is very important. That's the story.